Alibaba stock decline and predictions for China's economic future, Amazon's new payment system and how it removes bad actors. Can AliExpress learn some lessons here? MasterCard is releasing a buy now, pay later service, what this means for merchants. Welcome to Debutify News, where we outline the latest trends in e-commerce. I'm Connor Lewis. Let's get started. So how Alibaba can fail and why it matters. China's dominance can be viewed as bullish, economically powerful, and terrifying. However, research from Michael Beckley at Cornell University highlights its house of cards style economics and provides insight into how the future of commerce might be radically different to today. China is exporting infrastructure to developing nations, its GDP is growing rapidly, there's military expansion in the South China Sea, the Belt and Road Initiative can be viewed as geopolitical expansion, and the CCP is censoring Western businesses and even sports teams. If we look at China's economy and demographics, however, we might not have to be too worried about their global takeover. In terms of e-commerce, this is important because China supplies the majority of the inventory for store owners and subsequently customers. So let's take a look at the history and then we can look at the future. China's baby boom from the 1960s and later one-child policy in the 1970s are leading them to one of the most catastrophically aging populations on the planet. By the end of this century, China's population will be half of what it is now, and a third of those people will be above 60 years old. Whereas in the past, China had 8 workers for every elderly person. In the next 30 years, that trend will reverse because of this baby boom, leaving only 2 workers for every elderly, which could cripple the country's power. Their economy is also quite inefficient. A lot of the output from Chinese firms is small. They have marginal returns through final assembly, but the value that China adds is relatively small. They use twice the amount of capital and 5 times the labor of the average American firm in terms of the same product. China also has a somewhat arbitrary approach to power, taking away businesses' power specifically.
But the clash between Ma and financial regulators all came to a head on October 24th last year.
我们不能用管理火车站的方法去管理飞机场，不能用昨天的办法来管未来。
Less than 2 weeks after this speech, Chinese regulators took action.
Ultimately, it was President Xi who personally intervened in the matter, called off the IPO, and instructed financial regulators to do a thorough investigation into the risks posed by Jack Ma's financial and technology empire.
Jack Ma had his assets slashed, and many private companies in China are subject to the whims of the state bureaucracy in terms of funding and slashing. The government can come in and bulldoze your business without consent. The government chooses who gets a handout and who doesn't, and this stagnates entrepreneurship. So if you're an e-commerce brand owner and you use Chinese suppliers, it might pay to look for more local options for product sourcing. In the short term, it may be more expensive, but you can consider the language costs and cultural challenges that are present working with China, as well as the predicted future for the economy. Now let's look at Amazon's new payment system. In the wake of the pandemic, Amazon is putting more scrutiny on merchants. As we saw last year, many merchants sold fake PPE, which put people in harm's way. Amazon's new PSPs, payment service providers, hope to provide more accountability on their platform, and this could move to influence the wider e-commerce space. Amazon is often the first entry point into selling overseas for merchants because they make it so easy for those sellers to test their international strategy, says Jeff Parker, CEO at World First. With the pandemic came the move from in-person and in-store to online for so many small businesses. Most of the folks that we talk to in the market recognize Amazon is incredibly important, but well over 2/3 of our volume is with customers that use us to get paid from one or more source, explains Payoneer CEO Galiat. They're looking for tools beyond simply settlement into a local bank because they're trying to build and manage and grow a business. Now, this is where the PSPs come in. They help these businesses get loans, make purchases in different countries, and pay taxes. These PSPs are not just providing payment to small businesses, but they're helping and generally run the business. Merchants of all sizes on and off Amazon can benefit from these PSPs, and you have to consider the benefits of the low-fee instant payment cryptocurrencies like Facebook's DM, which it looks to use on its own marketplace. If Amazon continues to crack down on quality of goods standards and defective goods and helps merchants to get paid and run their businesses, I can see a large shift away from the lower-cost Chinese products, which may improve the space as a whole. And finally, MasterCard announced on September 28th that it will be rolling out a buy now, pay later plan. Buy now, pay later isn't new, of course, but it is taking on different forms. So is this a viable option for your company? Let's break down the pros and cons. We have to understand that the downside is on merchants, as they have to pay the aggregator, in this case MasterCard, the full amount of the product, which then the customer will pay off to the merchant over time. On the plus side though, MasterCard said that for merchants, such loans can increase average sales by 45% and reduce card abandonment by 35%. Not bad. Another benefit is, of course, giving people options. Now, usually in marketing, you don't want to give people too many options because that will make it harder for them to make a decision. But in terms of payment, this is obviously going to be a good thing, especially when it comes to delaying payment on the consumer side. Consumers get that instant gratification and they can save or invest their money in the meantime. Merchants don't necessarily need to set up a buy now, pay later for their store if the credit card is offering that plan directly to consumers. Some credit cards offer this. Visa call it the Pace It plan. So if anything, it might be worthwhile for merchants to get ahead of the credit card companies by offering a discount or reduced interest rate if they sign up for it through the merchant's chosen partner. So as a merchant, it could be en masse a great move to implement MasterCard or another BNPL solution like Afterpay to your store. As always, best of luck with your business. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Connor Lewis. Thanks. Have a good day.